We all know what is going on, especially in Wuhan, and we are all extremely concerned. And that is in the context that UN Habitat, especially the Asia-Pacific office in Japan, was planning to set up a great event here with the work we have done together with our Wuhan partners over the past 3 years. UN Habitat has a tremendously good collaboration with the city of Wuhan. So believe me, for me, even more concerned I am at this time. We thought to refashion the time slot today here at World Urban Forum to bring you together and to do 3 things. One, I want to give you a small perspective on the important work our Wuhan partners are doing with UN Habitat, and now our Chinese partners are now responding to the crisis of the coronavirus. 2, it's a time to convey wishes to Wuhan, to our partners, to the people of Wuhan. It's still a very bad situation they have on hand for them. I'm glad that UN Habitat and Abu Dhabi TV is recording this session, and it will be sent to Wuhan TV. 3, we need to start talking what we as urban professionals, planners, building specialists, environmental specialists, water specialists, what we can do for a city as Wuhan next in times of recovery. Because this is a crisis, this is a disaster. People will be traumatized, institutions will have great difficulty to restart, and all good ideas on what can be done in recovery for the city of Wuhan and for the people of Wuhan, all possible good ideas are needed now. First, let me talk about Wuhan. It's the largest city in central China, and it has a very rich history. It's at the Yangtze River, 1,000 kilometers about away from the sea, and the Yangtze River is so wide. It's therefore a water city, not just a river, but many lakes that are in the middle of the city. And it's an education city. Wuhan has 1 million students, many of them now also confined in the city. It's a big and a rising city in China. It's large, it's very urbanized, a population of probably, including the working population that comes out of other cities, working in factories and companies, close to 15 million people, and it has become increasingly prosperous. And on prosperity, I want to talk, because UN Habitat and our Wuhan partners measured the city prosperity of Wuhan in the past 2 years, and we should have published it today. It will come. But let me highlight a few issues. Wuhan is extremely dense, but also very diverse as a city. And that is something that we have to see. This is our characterization of what Wuhan is from the lens of urbanists. It's high in density and it's high in diversity. Diversity means that companies, housing, residential areas, public spaces are very well mixed. And that's what we here also at the World Urban Forum proclaim. These are good qualities of a city, but they come at a problematic time. There were 3 important reports that we wanted to publish together with Wuhan at this World Urban Forum. As I said, the City Prosperity Study. We also worked together to make a manual on child-friendly cities, and we have worked intensively with the Wuhan city on improving urban public spaces over the past 3 years. Our collaboration, UN Habitat, with Wuhan is very strongly focused on improving participation of people in urban development and in urban design. We work with, together with Wuhan. We have piloted for China the tool of block by block. It's a Swedish program that comes out of a toy for children, but that has been retooled by UN Habitat to be used by children and by adults and by elderly to design themselves the public spaces of their neighborhood. In 2018, with a wide range of partners, we organized an incredibly good placemaking week, a celebration of 1 week in Wuhan on improving urban public spaces in areas of heritage, in waterfront areas, in the areas where the universities are concentrated. And we did so with the International Society of Cities and Regional Planners, with the Project of Public Spaces of New York, with 2 Wuhan universities. NTNU of Norway was involved, a very rich collaboration, 1 week, in 1 week in 2018 to bring public spaces and placemaking on the forefront. And even out of that content, it's available on the web, the Wuhan Declaration for Placemaking, which very strongly started, everyone has the right to live in a great place and the right to make the place where they already live better. Forceful words in a city that is currently currently in a situation where everybody is confined to their homes. We worked with student competitions. At the Placemaking Week, we brought 100 students from abroad to Wuhan to work on a competition to make one of the key public areas of the city, a big park at the Yangtze River, into a better design. And they worked for very long to turn that into very interesting designs. We work on heritage areas. It's a very important collaboration with Wuhan that we put into focus heritage areas in central Wuhan to rethink what kind of qualities they should have for the future and to improve policy making of the city of Wuhan and its districts vis-à-vis development which is going extremely fast. As I said, there was a guideline for child-friendly cities, and Wuhan, together with the vice mayor of Wuhan, we had put on an agenda to make Wuhan one of the first child-friendly cities in China, together with UNICEF, and we hope that after the crisis we can take this theme again up, because after this epidemic, believe me, children will be very traumatized, and this is something that we really have to work on together with UN partners and the city of Wuhan. And it's not just the city, the core of the city. I talked about density, the diversity, the mixed use, etc. But Wuhan is a very large city. Rural revitalization is very important. There are many communities, as we say in the United Nations, left behind, places left behind. And we have already started to work with Wuhan to find planning tools and to planning policies to put back to the fore these communities. Also here, the news we get in terms of the impact of the coronavirus in rural areas in the vicinity of Wuhan is probably very serious, and we hope that after the situation settles, that we can also reach out to these communities. And it's my great joy that with Wuhan we even could collaborate across boundaries, working with Chinese planning institutions and reaching out to least developed countries. We have done incredibly interesting planning work together, for instance, in 2 municipalities in Nepal. It's a very vibrant agenda that we have taken on with the support of the city government of Wuhan. So let me break out. We have this very serious situation on hand, and we are also mobilizing the UN Habitat partners in China on trying to retool the opportunities we have in support of Wuhan. We have a very interesting partnership with the private sector in China, the UN Habitat China Future Cities Council, which bring together high-tech Chinese private sector companies. And this is an example of the chair company, Wangchang Group from Hangzhou. And it's a pleasure to see how, at a very short time, smart city technologies are retooled for use in this crisis. For instance, Wangchang has provided financial support to the online medical consultation app WeDoctor in China, has provided $4 million to make it easier to connect 17,000 doctors who are connected to the app to already more than 1 million patients. Very important again, because at the time of an epidemic, people are hesitant to go to clinics if they are not sure what they are suffering for, and online solutions bring a response to that. Another company from Chengdu we work with, Chengjiao Media, they developed, 2 years ago they were a conventional media company, and they discovered that the space inside residential elevators was worth something for marketing. And now in this situation, the 200,000 media panels, display panels they have in elevators throughout China are being retooled for public communication on the coronavirus crisis. And so public messages are sent around on these 200,000 panels, and they can be adjusted to the need of specific locations, what needs to be communicated in the various cities. Also, in a different event here, this initiative, the China Future Cities Council, should have launched its first report that we made together with UN Habitat on the state of smart city solutions and applications that has risen out of the private sector in China in order to support cities. And again, out of the medical area, I take two case studies that are already in the report, and we will launch it as soon as it's viable. Tencent company, which has also its trusted doctors application. And the case of Qingzhou, I already mentioned that they are now using their display in elevators in order to bring out messages for public concern in the current crisis. But actually the panels before that, in the past months, were already adjusted to send around earthquake warning messages before the earthquake hit the areas and the buildings. So there is a lot of very interesting issues happening, and that this is a good opportunity to bring to your opinion, to bring this here to the fore. Finally, this session should also have been hosted the government, the city government of Chengdu. Of course, they also cancelled, and just let me very briefly show what they wanted to talk about. UN Habitat has set up a partnership with Chengdu to develop a new generation of planning guidelines in relation to smart city development and in relation to city expansion, in this case for the airport development. And what were the themes? People-focused development, moving from a technology orientation for smart city solutions to a people-centered focus for urban development with technology. For the airport extension, we are looking at the extreme green and low-carbon solutions that could be promoted in city expansions in the cities such as Wuhan. We're working on guidelines with Chinese cities. We try to set and move boundaries for the ideas around urban development with our partners in China. And with the current crisis, I must say, we will have to explore also the boundaries on promoting health, promoting recovery, and all the related issues. So it was a very brief overview that I wanted to give in name of our partners who are not here today, from Wuhan and from Chengdu and from the private sector. But the main reason we wanted to bring you together here is that I think we all have to bring our wishes for support and recovery to Wuhan. And I'm glad here that first on behalf of UN Habitat, our executive director, Madame Maimunah, brought this wish to Wuhan, to the citizens of Wuhan. UN Habitat is with you, admiring your resilience and resolve in these difficult times. This is her wish today to Wuhan. I also bring you the wishes of our China team. They should have been here. Our China office would all have come to Abu Dhabi. Of course, they couldn't travel. And they also bring this message of Jiao, Wuhan, move forward, put your battle forward on the virus. The Chengdu delegation was not here, and they also have provided their wishes. I'm going to ask to put a microphone around because we have several partners here who are also frequently working with Wuhan and others. Please, this is your opportunity to say your 30 seconds, your 1 minute of your wishes for Wuhan. It is being recorded, and I think our partners, people of Wuhan, would like to hear what you want to bring forward. That is one. But secondly, also, from your knowledge, from your specializations, if you have an idea to bring forward for what recovery could be, how you, in such a situation, could reach out to a city as is the case now with Wuhan, that is what we like to hear. Where do I start? Bert, with Arcadis, you have a long, please.
Thanks very much, Bruno. And thank you for organizing this event. I think it's very important that we do it. I've been working in Wuhan. I came in 2002, so that's quite some time ago, for a European project on the heritage of the old city and developing the creative industry as a means for regeneration in the city. And the interesting thing in Wuhan is that the planning office was very much open-minded, and I think that's one of the the strong points of the city of Wuhan, that they want to absorb international knowledge. They want to be part of international movement. That's why they also have this strong relations with UN Habitat. Of course, they want to apply it in their own way, in their own culture. But it made it possible that the city made a tremendous development. When you see the difference between the city of Wuhan in 2002 and the existing city, the metropolis, it's the city of 11 million people, of which about 8 million in the urban core, in the center of China. I think it's really, for many people who come there, it's a revelation. I've been working closely with our friends, I can say our friends, because one of the interesting things, of course, in China, it's not just working for money. What we found out is that you establish a relationship in knowledge, but it goes beyond it. We have been with delegations to Europe. We organized all kinds of excursions to projects in Europe. We organized training in Delft University in urbanism. So it goes very much beyond that, and that's also the reason why we now so closely following the developments in Wuhan, because it's more than just a technical thing or a business thing, but it's really our friends who are affected. Presently, I've been in many projects, urban planning projects in Wuhan, but also extending. Presently, we have an office of 30 people, Arcadis, it's a large engineering consulting company. We have an office of 30 people in Wuhan. We work on a lot of Spon City projects, the water management and urban planning. That's also one of the examples how Wuhan is on the forefront of urban development with nature-based solutions for urban water management. Last year we've been working on a large project for cycling facilities, because the government of Wuhan likes to get all the Chinese back on the bicycle and providing the right facilities for it. So that's all examples how the city is really innovating in urban planning. Here you see a team. This is in the middle is Ben Mei Ha. She is our director of water. I've been telephoning with her this morning, And yeah, it's a crazy situation in the city. She sits in her house. It's completely closed off because people cannot go out and people cannot go into the city. Luckily, I think the good news is that there's provision of food. There's a supermarket in the basement of the apartment buildings. So the government is taking care that the food supply is well taken care of. But yeah, the question, of course, how long will it last? And everybody, of course, is afraid that there may be infections in their relatives or their family. Well, to make a long story short, we would like to convey the most best wishes to Wuhan, to our friends in Wuhan. I know the people and they're very strong, and I'm completely sure they will come over it and they will come out even better fighting this disease. And yeah, Wuhan wanted to be well-known international. This is not the way to do it, but I'm completely sure that in future Wuhan will get the strength and be one of the most important cities of China again. So Wuhan, jiao.
Let me move forward. I mentioned that we had a tremendous collaboration on public space promotion and a placemaking week. Introduce yourself and tell me what your wishes are for Wuhan.
Okay. Should I speak over here? Is that the camera? Yeah. It's really special to be here with you all in thinking about Wuhan and our friends there. We had a really powerful experience thanks to you and Habitat and Bruno and collaborating with ISOCARP as well with Project for Public Spaces, organizing the first placemaking week in China and in Wuhan. And it's the people, the open, innovative people of Wuhan that invited us there and had a really groundbreaking conference. Some of the boldest thinking and a declaration on placemaking that we've used to challenge people in America to go much further on these issues. So we're really grateful for that experience, that learning, and of course seeing the wonderful public spaces of Wuhan, some of the most spirited places in the world, the parks, the waterfronts, and the markets are social, lively, cultural places that they should be very proud of. And so forth. But my message going forward is remembering those great places, and it's a crisis right now of literally disconnecting people. It's very sad, but I think hopefully it makes us all appreciate all the more the need to be around each other, and to look forward to the time when people can reconnect in these public spaces, and people around the world and locally can re-fall in love with their city and these spaces that bring people together. It's one of the great cities of the world. People didn't know about it. People are going to want to learn more about it, want to connect to it, want to help it. So let's engage people locally and globally to invest in people reconnecting with each other and strengthening that city once again going forward. So thanks again to Wuhan for inviting us into your lives, into your city. We look forward to supporting you and being part of your continued recovery in the years ahead. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody of our public space team over here? If not, that is a slide of our public space team who worked with everybody in order to promote the collaboration with Wuhan. I'd like to add one thing. I said in the beginning of the presentation, high density, mixed use, social mix. We know from our study that the coronavirus crisis, the epicenter of it is a market, and the market is one of the high density neighborhoods of Wuhan. But our study also and the Wuhan Land Use and Spatial Planning Research Center and the Wuhan Urban Planning and Design Institute have very good tools available, but if you really look on the analysis that we have undertaken with Wuhan is that this structure of high density, of mixed use, etc., is also an enormous reservoir of inclusion and resilience. And resilience will be so much needed to get Wuhan going again. Let me go forward with the wishes. We had a collaboration with Nepal. My colleague Padma is here. Perhaps you can do it for the two mayors.
Thank you, Bruno, organizing this. I think, as you see, this is the message from the mayor of Bidur municipality, one of the municipalities that is very close to the China border also. And there is another one in Kirtipur, which is the planning is ongoing. Actually, when this coronavirus attacked in China, they were planning to come to Nepal for the finalizing the plan for Kirtipur municipality. What I can say here is you just heard the stories about Wuhan and how the life, the people, the planning capacities. But in Nepal, with their support, what we understand is the excellent skill of planning and getting the issues, getting the ideas of people, the politicians, the representatives. That was so excellent at the beginning because of the communication gap, mainly because of the language. We used to have a problem. And we think that, okay, they might not have understood it. But when they come up with the plan, it is amazing. Actually, they realize, and they also express in their communication that Nepal is something like they're trying to do something 40 years back or 30 years back in China. So with their knowledge, the present knowledge and the knowledge from the past, and that was so much helpful, and it became a kind of a model for other planners in Kathmandu, in Nepal as well. Even the government officials, they organized several of the workshops to educate, to train, to share the knowledge, how to plan, and that was fabulous. I have no other words to explain that, but in this time, I have only very good wishes to recover it pretty fast. And as from Nepali side, we are together with them. Thank you.
Thank you. And I show the mayor of Kirtipur in Kathmandu Valley with his Wuhan back on him. My message to Wuhan, he's waiting for you. As soon as Wuhan can recover, he hopes to be in touch again. We will still have a few wishes. A professional colleague, Jens is here, has worked very long with UNICEF on child-friendly issues. Children are a special concern, I think, in such a crisis. Please share your thoughts.
Yes. Thank you. So I have not been in Wuhan, so I hope to go there, and I would be saying like I would be one of the first to go. To not be afraid. I think it's something we also have to say, that we have to confirm that we want to go back to Wuhan, or the first time. Why I wanted to connect is that I had experience to have a lot of support from the Chinese planners in not only from Wuhan. I think it's also a pity that all Chinese delegates are not here. They helped me a lot in UNICEF to translate a handbook that we made last year. They made it in 6 months with the city of Changsha, with the Urban Planning Society of China. And I knew that Wuhan also is very interested. You said it, like they already have child-rearing city guidelines, but to also really start doing pilots on how to transform parts of the neighborhoods of Wuhan. So I hope we can continue that conversation. And I also think to say Wuhan should really take this opportunity, I think, to use the crisis to show to the world that they can become more, maybe a leader into urban health. Something to say like we are gonna become the model. How do you become resilient of this crisis? How do you work indeed with children that have witnessed this crisis? How do you learn to work with them to recover very quickly and to become a city that is confident again? Thank you.
Thank you, Jens. So much will be needed. There is also a great burden on universities, academic institutions in the world to reach out with know-how. How do we make cities safer? Because we are dealing with a new type of threat that was not really anticipated. It takes the instruments now used to quarantine, etc. How could other measures help in preventing and overcoming a crisis like now? So many questions are there in terms of buildings, in terms of environment, water, etc. Annemie Weekmans is here with us. She's from the NTNU. Please introduce yourself and what are your thoughts and wishes?
Thank you. I can share with my colleague Wang Yu. So my name is Annemie Weekmans. I work at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and I'm also the head of the Urban EU-China Innovation Platform on Sustainable Urbanization, where we work together with Chinese and European partners to create, smart, sustainable cities. And we've been working with China since the early 90s, but it was only in 2018, in the Placemaking Week, that we went to Wuhan for the first time. And we were really overwhelmed with the hospitality and the sense of community that was there. Of course, you introduced us to a lot of the local stakeholders as well. And from then on, we continued to work with them, both with companies, project developers of the private sector, but also with the Planning Institute, with the university, with local citizens, to see how we can create more socially integrated cities, which of course now is ironic that, So we can use that knowledge to see how, as soon as it is possible, to work on creating that social integration again. But one of the things that struck me the most is the way of cooperating. So it was in Wuhan, it seems to be very easy to get that cooperation going between the public sector, from everyday practice, from small routines to how you use a neighborhood or how you could use a neighborhood if it was designed better. And we want to create those teams of different types of people and stakeholders where we can extract all that knowledge, put it together, and then transform it into a better design for upgrading the city to make it more resilient at another, if such an event happens. And we don't just work with that as a project, we also then participate in the summer school that UN Habitat has.
Yeah, as a university, one of the functions is education. We are really thankful actually UN Habitat actually invite us to join this rural revitalization, which one of the slides actually Bruno shows. We organized this international summer school hosted by the Wuhan Land Use and Spatial Planning Research Center. We feel actually we are the only international partner. We led actually a team of the students and teachers and visited Wuhan for 2 weeks. I have to say actually I visited Wuhan several times, but with the rest of my colleagues, students, the first time to be there, most of them, they instantly actually love the city, because of enthusiastic kind of very hospitality from the WLSP. They feel actually very well welcome, and also the cases and what the Wuhan to give us is very unique, and the students work with the locals very well, and we feel actually we learn a lot from the local kind of communities and also the experts from Wuhan, which is quite actually tremendous, very good experience. We thanks for actually Wuhan now UN Habitat to give us these opportunities. And as a Chinese, I must say is I had mixed feelings when I heard Wuhan has this various attacks and being kind of attacked by the coronavirus. I'm so actually concerned about the friends and colleagues in Wuhan. I sincerely hope actually you can stay strong and be resilient, can get us through this crisis. And we hope actually we can meet you soon and be strong and Wuhan 加油，谢谢。
Thank you. Anybody of the audience that would like to add a wish, you're welcome. If not, many issues will need to be done, but I think the strongest asset that I hope you heard in these sessions is that Wuhan in normal days was capable of developing extraordinary partnerships with so many for issues of public good. My expectation is that this will be the source for getting Wuhan also again back to a healthy recovery. I wish that is as soon as possible. Maybe still some very hard days ahead or weeks ahead for Wuhan. But I'm very glad to see so much support and how far that goes. Also to Africa, Canada, and I invite my colleague Rong here for the concluding remarks. I'm also happy that the Deputy Permanent Representative of the Permanent Representation to UN Habitat in Nairobi from the Chinese government, Madame Tong Guijiang is here. Thank you for being here. Convey our wishes also, and let's work together for the recovery of Wuhan. Please, Ron.
Thank you, Bruno, my colleague. I think I would like to thank all of you to join this event because I heard from your presentation, most of you are very good, have a very good relationship with Wuhan, the WLSP, and also Wuhan government. And you used to have a lot of very attractive project in Wuhan, and the project showcase the collaboration between Wuhan and international organization, universities, and international community, and to promote sustainable development. I also, because our our representative from ICASU is Professor Chow from University of Ottawa University. Probably you could have some words before me to present your wish to Wuhan and in the future. Okay, I would like to invite Professor Chow to have some words first. To have your wishes to Wuhan and maybe further collaboration with Wuhan.
Okay.
Collaboration about sustainable.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Hua Cao, and I'm co-president. I'm a co-president of ICASU, International Conference on Canadian, Chinese, and Africa Sustainable Urbanization. This organization was founded in 2014 with UN Habitat. Okay, so we are here is most to support Wuhan, and we know, and now it's a very difficult time, but we all believe we are all very confident that Wuhan and China in total will overcome this difficult time, and China demonstrated their ability during last 4 decades, so nothing can stop China's development. And also with these opportunities, we want to have more collaboration with China. We already had ICASU 3 third conference last July in Chengdu with CCUD, in collaboration with CCUD. Then we can find another opportunity to work with Wuhan in particular. Okay, thank you very much. Wuhan 加油!
Okay. I think I should very special thanks for Bruno, because when we know Wuhan has no opportunity to travel to Abu Dhabi, we discussed, and Bruno suggested we continue these events and to showcase what we have done in Wuhan and what we have done in collaboration with Wuhan, and probably we have more collaboration with Wuhan in the future. I believe because, as you know, Wuhan is a metropolis located in almost the center of China, and from the middle of the Yangtze River, also from the middle, from the high-speed train from Beijing to Guangzhou and to Shenzhen. So that is a very important hub. I think in China, there is a word called 危机. It means crisis and opportunity. So this is, Wuhan is facing a big crisis, but we believe there is a very big opportunity for this city in the I also believe with the very strong support from the central government, from the different provinces of China, from the different cities, also from the international communities, including all the friends of Wuhan here. So Wuhan must be recovered health very soon. I think we also believe we have more collaboration opportunity in the future, and also contribute the sustainable development of urbanization for the international community in the future. I also would like to say in Chinese, 武汉加油，武汉未来一定会更好。Wuhan will have a better future, I think. Thank you.
Let us come to the fore. We need a group picture here, and we need it as a photo, and we need it for the video, and we need it with Wuhan Jaido. Please.